So the physical self. Tell me first, what comes into your mind? For me, beauty means blank. Anyone? A beautiful person is, we refer to the physical body of the person, the face, right? Yun eh. Minsan, di ba, yan yung kalimitan yung una nagpapap sa isip na real beauty is, I am beautiful because, so next, complete the sentence. I am beautiful because, do you think you are beautiful? If yes, tell me why. I am beautiful because. All right, so I ask you this to complete the sentences kasi I want to know, I want to see your view. I want to see your insight about what is beautiful. What is the definition of beautiful? Okay? So let's continue with the physical self. So ano nga ba, what is a physical self? So of course, the definition of physical self is the body. Okay? It refers to your body. So that body is a marvelous container and complex. It's finely tuned. It is a machine with which interface with our environment and fellow beings. So your physical self, your body, is a concrete dimension, tangible aspect, something that you can observe and you can examine. You can hold it, it's tangible. You can touch it, and you can observe and examine your physical self. Okay, so with the definition, it says here it's a marvelous container, of course, because imagine all we have different organs inside our physical self, and everything is moving or operating in synchronized order, di ba? So imagine who really did this. This is such a miracle. So did God really make this one? If yes, wow, because it is finely tuned, right? It's like a machine. And when it wears out, wala na, di ba? It's like a domino effect. If one organ or two or more of your organs will be um, will be affected or infected, maaaring hindi na siya mag-function very well. Okay? So that is our physical self. And sabi ng mga psychologists, meron din silang thought about your about our physical self. So if you attended or if you can remember the lesson last week, we have different schools in psychology, like psychoanalysis of Sigmund Freud, behaviorism, and humanism. So with these different approaches and schools in psychology, they discuss directly and indirectly what is physical self. Okay, so first is William James. So William James is a psychologist, and for William James, the physical self is the initial source of sensation. Okay, and it is necessary for the origin and maintenance of personality. Of course, it is the initial source of sensation. So your physical self is the first one who will receive all the sensations that you will feel, that you will hear, you will see, or you will taste. Okay, and it's very important for the maintenance of your personality. So we all know our five senses. We all have this. Diba? So those five senses are in your physical self, are in your body. And these are the things that gives you the experiences, that makes you feel the experiences, that makes you see, taste, and everything. Lahat na. Okay, and according to William James, the body is considered subservient to the mind. So when you say subservient, it obeys. It obeys the mind. Okay? So meron tayong tinatawag na mental concentration. So this mental concentration will obey, will follow, sunod-sunuran yung ating mind, yung ating body sa mind. So and, one best example of this is this one. you would see numerous reports. Okay, you would see reports of soldiers in the battle, or a boxer in the fighting, or in a or a boxer in the ring. So as you can see, they are in pain, right? But even in the severest pain, if your physical self will obey your mind, if the mind says that later you can feel the pain, or I mean you can complain the pain about the pain later, because these because you have to win the battle, you have to win the game, diba? Andun yun, of course they feel the pain already, but they still move on, they still go on hanggat kaya. Kasi nga, your physical self is following what the mind says. So for James, the body is an expressive tool of indwelling consciousness. And good physical health is something that wells up from the every part of the body. So meaning to say, for James, your physical self, your body, is like a tool, it's like a machine, kung saan may indwelling consciousness, nakatira, nandyan na, it stays there. Okay? So, indwelling consciousness. Consciousness, ba? Lahat, everything that you are aware of doing, everything that you are aware of. Okay? So that consciousness is already inside your body. Good physical health, something that wells up from every part of the body, especially for someone who is well trained. So for example here, the athletes, Manny Pacquiao, soldiers, so they are muscularly well trained. Kaya kaya nila itong ganitong klaseng pain eh. You see, natitrain, nako-condition, right? So syempre on our part, since we are not that trained, we are not that muscular. Kung tayo yung nasa situation na hindi naman mag-o-obey yung physical self mo. Syempre, hindi natin kaya yan. But in other instances, there are some instances na we feel the pain, but we set aside it first because we have to continue with the situation. So tayo lang, bilang ordinaryo, simpleng tao, we are not muscular. Diba? Example. Can you give me an example na ikaw mismo naranasan mo na kailangan mong tiisin? Kaya eh. Kayang tiisin daw ng body mo eh. Kasi nga subservient to the mind ang physical self. Do you have an experience that your physical self obeyed your mind? Because there are some tasks to finish. There are some things that you should finish. Or there are other things that you have to consider? Meron ba dito? Can you share if you have an experience? Or if you have an example in mind, yung para sa atin lang, as regular people, as as ordinary person. No, hindi naman tayo trained talaga for this kind of pain. May experience kayo or you have an example? Okay. All right. So let's move on with the next. So is this clear? William James' view about the physical self. All right. So let's move on with Sigmund Freud. Okay, so Sigmund Freud, he is the father of psychoanalysis. So for Sigmund Freud, the physical self is the core, or your physical body is the core of human experience, of course. So as a while ago, I told you already, diba? Because your physical self is the one receiving all these sensations, all these experiences. So it's very important to have that physical body. Without your physical body, no human experiences. Okay, so sumagot na si Rain. As a student po, kasi required po siya, especially sa mga gusto po magkatrabaho na maganda, and not all people can afford to enter school. Okay, so syempre, oo, I understand. I understand that. I understand that. But, what will I say? Of course, wala naman yung ano, eh, 'no, wala naman kasing madali sa buhay. So, maybe for some you see studying as some form of a suffering, okay? But maybe for some it's a form of enjoyment, or I don't know. Pero it's one of our social responsibility kasi as a student ngayon, no? And it's one of your roles, expected roles as sabihin natin as 6 years old to 22 years old. Yun yung expected social responsibility mo, eh, no? Ikaw ay isang student because you are preparing yourself for for reality, for working, yeah, to sustain your life. So, yes, there are instances that while you are a student, you are somehow suffering some things and you are undergoing some pain, but your physical self is telling you to follow what your mind says na mag-aral ka mabuti, 'di ba? Umattend ka ng class mo. Umattend ka ng online class mo kahit naantok ka or tinatamad ka. Kung ayaw mo magbasa, kailangan mo pa ring sundin yung utak mo na magbasa ka, mag-aral ka. Kasi nga, hindi ka papasa. Okay? So, sabi ni Ray, not all people cannot afford to enter school. Oo nga, andun tayo. But, 'di ba? Ano naman tayo eh, may free schooling naman, may public school. So, if there's a will, 'di ba? If there's a will, there's a way. Kathleen Ocampo, is William James? Yes, it's like that. Mind over matter. That's right. Kaya nga mental concentration, di ba? So, mas powerful yung mind natin over our physical self. That's what it's saying. It's somehow like that. It's really very powerful. Okay? Next is, yung continue tayo kay Sigmund Freud, no? Kung may tanong kayo, ay, sige, mag-unmute lang kayo, raise your hand or chat box. Rain, kung may hindi pa malinaw, you can tell me. You can chat. Okay, so, balik tayo. Yun na nga, syempre, your human experiences, di ba? So, without your physical body, no human experience. Syempre, tama? And for Sigmund Freud, the ego is first and foremost a body ego. What is an ego? What is an ego? Anyone? Sabi niya, the ego is first and foremost a body ego. What is an ego? Pride? Okay. Your ego is your pride, yourself. Meron pa? So more on your self-esteem. So Kathleen, so ego is your self-esteem, your self-confidence, okay, your pride, okay. So your pride, your self-confidence is first and foremost a body ego. So you see, how much is your self-confidence? How much is your self-esteem? That itself is already a body ego. Yun na mismo eh. Yun, yun palang pagkakaroon mo ng self-confidence, ng ego, ng self-esteem. For Sigmund Freud, it can also it is also considered as your physical self, as your body ego. Okay? Next is Wilhelm Reich. So this one is very understandable. For him, mind and body are one. All psychological processes are a part of physical processes. Malinaw naman siguro, no? And I think everyone would agree with Wilhelm Reich. And Sabi pa ni Wilhelm Reich, body is essential, dynamic in all psychological functioning, and it plays a critical role in storing and channeling the bioenergy, which is the basis of human existence and experience. Of course, your physical self. Without that, no psychological functioning. Ano ba yung mga psychological or mental processes natin? Like dreaming, di ba? Dreaming, analyzing, criticizing, uh, suffering or feeling pain, sorry. Ano pa, yung mga psychological functioning natin, solving problems. And your physical body stores and channels bioenergy. Your life is in there. Diba? And without that physical body, without that physical self, there's no self. Kasi pag wala yan, ayan nga, sabi ni Rach, walang human existence. Walang experience. So, simply to say na itong tatlong to, kanina si William James, si Sigmund Freud, and si Rach, very simple. Without your physical body, without physical self, no experiences, di ba? No human existence, walang tinatawag na self. Yun lang. No self. So, if that physical body or physical self is not yet, is not here anymore, kung nag-vanish na siya dito sa earth, wala nang self. Wala na tayong pwedeng i-refer na self ni Abigail, ni Desiree, ni Jobert, ni John. Alright? And speaking of that, what do you have in mind about dying? So, di ba, in simple terms, pag wala na yung katawan mo dito, so sinasabi pala ganito, no? Tama, wala na physically yung body mo dito. What does it mean? Siyempre, patay ka na, di ba? And when you're dead, when your body is not here anymore, it's not existing, no self. So, kahit sabihin mo sa akin, ma'am, hindi pa naman, mga 3 years pa yan. Nandiyan pa, ma'am, no, nakalibing pa dyan. Ayan pa, nakikita ko pa yung physical self ni Lolo. Wala na rin. Kasi wala na sensations yun eh. So, wala na yung self ni Lolo. So, question nga, to ponder, what do you have in mind about dying? Anyone? Are you afraid to die? What is death for you? Do you agree that without your physical body, there's no self anymore? Any thoughts about dying? Okay. So for John, you are just going to the other world. So are you trying to say, John, your self will exist on that other world? So, nag-retire lang siya dito sa Pilipinas. O dito sa Earth pala, sorry. But once nag-retire siya dito, your self will exist on the other whatever kind of world is that. That's your view of death, of dying, John? Who else? Dying is cessation of sensation. How about the soul? Self includes the soul. Ayan nga. Kaya nga natin dinidiscuss, di ba? For the Greek philosophers, self is about your soul, di ba? So when you have soul, there's self. Parang ganyan eh. Kanya-kanya nga eh. Di ba? Now, for these three psychologists, without your physical self, no more self. Para sa pananaw nitong tatlo. Pero kung tatanungin mo si Plato at si Aristotle, the self is still there as long as the soul is existing. Pero who can tell that your soul is still existing? Desiree gradually ceasing to be. Reincarnation for John Gerald Sarmiento. Okay. So, baka sa other world, John Gerald, ano ka? Um, ano ka sa tingin mo? Ibon, aso, o pwedeng tao ulit, o babae ka naman, o puno. Buddhism, no self. So, physical, not needed. Okay. Buddhism, there's no such thing as self. So, for, hindi naman, ano kasi, si Buddhism kasi, yung sinasabi niya there's no such thing as self is, tanggalin mo yung thought mo about self. Diba? Yun yung ano dun eh, sinasabi ni Buddhism. Because if you always think of the self, there will always be suffering. Ganun yung effect. So, ang gusto kasi ni Buddhism, i-ano mo rin eh. At kung sa Tagalog, tanggalin mo paging mga sarili. Diba? Walang sarili na tinatawag. Pag tinanggal mo yan, magiging masaya ka. Ang hirap, di ba? Sinasabi ni Buddhism. So, hindi pwede i-apply kay Buddhism yung, wow, I earned 100 pesos. So, bubusugin ko yung sarili ko kasi nagugutom ako. Oh, may sarili na naman. Bubusugin ko yung sarili ko. So, hindi pwede kay Buddhism yung ganun. So, kailangan bubusugin natin ang ating tiyan. Kumita ako ng 100 pesos, bubusugin natin ang ating tiyan. Okay, who else? Ano pa ang thought niya about dying? Meron pa? Gusto mag-share? Are you afraid to die? Do you agree that wala nang self? Wala ka ng self if you die? If you're not here in this world anymore? Si John Gerald kasi, sabi niya, naniniwala siya na magkakaroon ng other world. So parang lilipat lang ang self niya. Ikaw, tahimik si Reynolds. Oh, ikaw, Paulo, tahimik ka rin, ha? Oh, takot ka ba, Paulo? Mamatay? Hindi po. So, hindi rin takot si Reynolds. Okay. Yes, I'm afraid of dying, according to Kathleen. Life is fun. Reincarnation is different. No more Kathleen. Correct. And who can tell that there's such thing, di ba? As reincarnation. Who can tell na maraming sabi that there's life after death? No one can say that. No one can really tell that. Kasi wala naman namatay na bumalik. 'Di ba? Bumalik siya. At sinabi niya, nagkwento siya ng experiences. Pag merong ganun, ayun. That's the time na, okay. Meron nga palang life after death. Kailangan very scientific na talagang namatay siya. 'Di ba? Proven. Then after 2 months, bumalik siya, tumayo at nagkwento ng experiences niya ng 2 months siyang patay. So, we cannot say, we really cannot tell what's after death. All right, so wrap up tayo if you don't have any question. So, to wrap up our lesson today, the body is essential as it is a container of your mind and spirit. Without the body, there will be no experiences, no sensations, no psychological and physical processes. That is why you really have to take care of that physical body. Diba? Sabi nga nila, it's a temple of God. You should respect your body, your physical body. Because without that, wala na lahat to. wala nang titirhan. Wala nang indwelling experiences, indwelling consciousness. Wala nang indwelling sensations. Wala nang mga physical, psychological processes. So, sayang. Diba? So, I told you that lesson today is just really simple. And it's easy to understand. Any question?